Apple still refuses to help the FBI unlock suspected San Bernardino terrorist Syed Farouk's phone, citing privacy issues for not only their customers, but all Americans. This fight could potentially end up before the Supreme Court. Tech expert Dave Hatter tells us more about the pushback and what it means for your privacy. We really want to clarify a few things this morning, too. Dave, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Kara. Thanks.
So what exactly is it that the FBI wants from Apple?
Okay, this is really interesting, Kara, because it's been characterized in the press that they want to break the encryption on this phone. And that's sort of true, but not exactly true. They haven't said turn over the encryption keys so that we can just decrypt this. What they basically asked for is three things. They basically want a way to ensure that the phone will not wipe itself if you enter the passcode 10 times incorrectly. They want a way to electronically enter those passcodes so that someone doesn't have to punch them in. And then they want to eliminate the delay because, you know, if you enter it wrong, you have to wait. What they really want to do is plug in a new version of the Apple operating system to the phone and then hook it to a high-powered computer where they can just generate passcodes very quickly until they break the passcode, at which point then they'd have access to the data on the phone. So they are breaking the encryption, but they're not asking for the keys. And this gets really technical and a lot of mumbo-jumbo. So the net effect is the same, but they haven't, in my opinion, what they've asked for is not as dire as saying you must turn over all the keys that would allow us to unlock all these phones.
Okay, so why should we be concerned, though? Because you say this is still a big issue.
Well, because what they've asked for in this case, once they have this, once it could be installed on this 5C phone, then potentially the same technique could be applied to any phone anywhere. And frankly, I'll just go on the record and say, not only do I think it's generally a bad idea because it affects all of our privacy, and you know, I obviously share the same opinion as Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and the CEO of Google has now come out in Apple's position. Honestly, I don't believe that there's any way that this would not work its way down to every level of law enforcement, and I'm a big law enforcement supporter, but I don't think there's any way they could ultimately keep this secure. Virtually every department in government has been hacked at this point.
This is true. Once
this technique, this software, this new operating system is available out there, there are going to be so many people trying to get their hands on this because then it would basically mean any iPhone anywhere. Now, some of the newest iPhones, this technique wouldn't work on because they have some additional security. But any iPhone not up to this latest standard, you could just eliminate the security once this technique is out in the wild. So, yeah, I'm 100% in favor of Apple's position on this. I'm glad that Google has come out and supported this position. Organizations like Electronic Frontier Foundation, which are big in the privacy space, have jumped into the fray, and they're going to file an amicus brief. You know, again, I know that there's sort of an instinctive and reflexive mentality out there because typically I would kind of fall into this camp myself of you should, you know, law and order and you should give the law enforcement officials what they need. And I generally agree, but this is just a bridge too far in my mind. And it's literally opening up a Pandora's box that would allow, you know, government surveillance of you anytime.
Anywhere.
It's just bad. It's a bad precedent in my opinion.
So before we go to break, do you think this will end up in front of the Supreme Court?
I think assuming that Apple sticks to their guns, and so far it looks like they will, and obviously I think with other industry support like, you know, titans like Google jumping into this mess, yeah, I think there's a good likelihood it'll go that far. And honestly, if that's what it takes, I hope it does.
Honest and open opinion, like always. Dave Hatter, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair.
We'll see you next time.